Hey everyone, on this Anzac Day in Australia and New Zealand, welcome to the Shitty Kitty Kitchen. No, I'm not NewsTubers Live, I am a shitty kitty. And today we're going to be making a bit of an Australian tradition on Anzac Day. Not news. Whoops, Daisy, just muting that. We're going to be making Anzac Biscuits, or in America, you would call them cookies because they're sweet. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, I am breaking from tradition. We are not going to be making traditional Anzac biscuits, but I'll explain that in a minute. Sorry, I'm just sorting out my hair and glasses combo, and we'll get on with some cooking. Oh, hang on a sec. Give me 2 seconds. I hadn't let the bathroom door open in case my shitty kitty needs to use the loo. Hi everyone and welcome to the Shitty Kitty Kitchen. Now I don't always cook in these, but it seemed appropriate today. Well, just because it's the Shitty Kitty Kitchen, but I couldn't find another hair. I normally just wear like a headband if I want to keep my hair off my face when I'm cooking. This was the only one I could find. I don't know who's still here. There were a few people before I started. G'day, Punished Dad, how are you? Oh, they might have been comments actually from before I kicked off. But if you want to cook along, if you've got a really well-equipped pantry, you've still got time to grab all the ingredients. The recipe, a link to the recipe is actually in the description of this video. I'm also more than happy to drop a link if anyone wants to get up and chat while we're cooking and hanging out together on this beautiful Sunday in Tasmania. It's just gone 12:30 in the afternoon. My shitty kitty is currently snoozing over there on her little beanbag, so she might make an appearance later on, who knows. Oh, I like that spelling. Maybe that's what I need to do. I noticed when I became monetized, I went through the process, didn't realize there were going to be ads on everything, so I'm manually taking ads off because I don't want ads on my channel. But I noticed anything from the Shitty Kitty Kitchen, it had like limited AdSense. It wasn't going to appeal to advertisers because of the shitty. So, yes. Hey, Brenda, how you doing? Hey, Nada, how are you, gorgeous? We're making Anzacs with a twist. I love Yotam Ottolenghi. He's my favourite chef. And a few years ago, June 2018, I make notes in all of my cookbooks about when I've tried stuff. I made these and they are divine. If you've got Yotam's book, Sweet, this is the one we're cooking out of today. Page 52, you'll find the recipe for what he calls, in inverted commas, Anzac Biscuits, also known as honey, oat and raisin cookies. So, well, these are actually chewier, Punished Dad. I normally do the golden syrup when I make a traditional Anzac, but I'm going with Yotam, and he uses honey. Hey, Cody, you love the ears, thank you. It's actually the ears are doing something there, keeping my hair off my face. I'm just going to chuck the oven on to 150 degrees Celsius because I've got a fan forced. If you don't have a fan forced, you do 170. But we're just going to be hanging out in the kitchen. It's pretty chilled out. We'll make a cup of tea later on and try one of the cookies. Now, cookbooks, if you love your cooking, I like novels, and I always read everything. I read cookbooks from cover to cover, but I always think it's important to read the little bit that they put at the top, their own little blurb. See what Yotam has to say about these. There's a picture of them. Will they look like that? We'll find out. Well, you might think any biscuit's better with golden syrup, but wait till you see these little motherfuckers. So basically what Yotam's saying is that he discovered Anzac biscuits in Australia and New Zealand, and traditionally they're sweet, flat and crispy. Very untraditionally, as Yotam was informed in no uncertain terms by his Antipodean Instagram followers after posting a picture of his Anzacs. He got told off a lot. But his are plump, chewy and malty. Oh, yes, they are. With outcries of travesty, We both applauded the loyalty of the Southern Hemisphere to their bakes at the same time as defending our version as a twist on, rather than a cruel departure from, the original. They get their chew from the addition of raisins and honey, while the bran flakes give them a slight but distinctive malty flavour. They're lovely to have sitting on the kitchen counter for snacking on throughout the day. So, I did make the golden syrup ones last year on my channel. If you want to scroll back to Anzac Day last year, I made two types. I made a gluten-free Anzac, which were disgusting, and I made traditional Anzacs. The gluten-free ones, I ended up freezing them, and when I made a cheesecake for some reason, for some event, I can't remember what, I defrosted the gluten-free version and used them to make a crust, and they were actually fine. But as a cookie in their own right, pretty bad. The cookbook, it's Yotam Ottolenghi, and it's his book Sweet, which has all of his desserts and cakes and biscuits and things in it. I've got his entire collection. Oh, you can't maybe just see the bottom of the shelf. Up there, I've got all of Yotam's. Hey, Morgan. Hi, Veruca. You're at work watching. Well, I hope this is enjoyable. I hope it makes work go fast for you. So, unlike usually in the Shitty Kitty Kitchen, I've been really organised. I've already measured out all of the ingredients. We've whacked the oven on to 150 degrees Celsius because it's a fan forced. If it's not, you'd go 170. If you cook with Fahrenheit, you'll have to convert. There is a link to the recipe in the description. Now, it's not from Yotam's website. It's just from a blog where someone made them. But feel free to have a crack. A couple of variations, though, because it is Anzac Day in Australia, shops weren't open till midday today out of respect for our veterans. And as a result, I wasn't able to get bran flakes. So I'm actually using a cereal that is bran-based, and I'm going to be, what's actually corn, I think, Special K. Not sure, but I'm just going to be crunching that up. And also I couldn't get raisins, so I'm actually using craisins, which are the dried cranberries. We'll see how they go. I love me a cranberry, so I'm happy to be using them. So we're going to mix all of our dry ingredients first. Oh, the other thing I did in advance, I've lined 2 baking trays with what we call baking paper in Australia. Americans, you call it parchment. I just sprayed some coconut oil to hold the parchment paper on the trays, so they're good to go for later on. Does anyone have any questions before we kick off? I do. I need to fix I'm wearing one of those bloody bras that has the straps that fall. I used to work with women a long time ago that would have like dresses on, like sleeveless dresses, and they'd have a bra strap hanging down. And I was like, I don't ever want to be that woman. And as you get older, suddenly your bra straps start to woo-hoo. I normally either wear strapless or I wear ones with a crossover back, but today, it's Sunday, I wore a comfy, but I forgot the straps move. First world problems. All right, so let's go. First up, we're going to put 100 grams of rolled oats. Now, don't use instant oats, the sort that you would use if you were making a porridge, like a breakfast porridge. They've got to be rolled oats. So if you've got instant oats in your pantry and you use them, they're a lot soggier because the instant oats have already been par-cooked. You need to have just rolled oats that are still quite, fibrous. And if you make Anzacs or any biscuits with the instant oats, you're not going to get good body to your biscuit. They're going to be a bit soggy. Nobody likes a soggy. You need 50 grams of bran flakes. Now, I normally use proper bran flakes. They're long and thin. They're like kind of crispy noodles. But I'm using, because I couldn't get any, I went to a service station. The only thing I could find was some Special K. And when you're using bran flakes or a cereal as a substitute, before it goes in the bowl, just give it a bit of a scrunch with your hands. Hey, Kylie. You love not wearing bras. I envy men. Although some men have got moobs and they need them. So we're just breaking up the cereal flakes that I ended up buying as a substitute. But if you use proper bran flakes, they're long and stringy. You'd have to just give them a bit of a crunch with your hands as well. I did wash my hands before I went live, by the way. So that goes in as well. I've got my pussy ears on because it's the Shitty Kitty Kitchen. Next up, we've got 90 grams of desiccated coconut. Look at me, I've measured everything out. Whack that in the bowl too. I'm using all my gorgeous bowls. I've got lots of love bowls. I can at least show them off. I've got to make sure I don't keep adding things that I shouldn't be. Plain flour is going in next. You don't need to sift it. We want 185 grams of that in Varshi blows. Yeah, Special K, I couldn't get any because every shop was shut till midday because of Anzac Day. So I couldn't get into like a proper grocery to buy bran flakes. So as an act of desperation, when I went to get petrol for my car, I went to a place that's got a little grocery store attached to it. And they had Wheat Bix and Special K, and I just went with Special K. Something crunchy just to add a bit more crunch. We'll see how they go. They could fuck it up, and I'll let you know. Flour's gone in. Okay, sugars. Now, we're using two different types of sugar. We're using 100 grams of caster sugar. That's the really fine sugar. I don't know what you guys call that in the US. Is it caster sugar? Who knows? It's not like normal bigger granule sugar. It's the finer stuff. That goes in. And we're also using some brown sugar, which is like the soft sugar is probably the best way to describe that. And 40 grams of that is going in as well. We're also going to add craisins, which are dried. I hate that they make names like this, but they're a dried cranberry. For some reason, they're called craisins. I didn't come up with a dumb name. Dried cranberries. Craisins. I'm not sponsored, by the way, but craisins by Ocean Spray. They've got a recipe on the back for craisins, oat, and white chocolate chunk biscuits. But I couldn't get any sultanas or raisins because the little greengrocer didn't have any. So I knew I had some craisins in the pantry because I make a white chocolate bark at Christmas with craisins and pistachios. It's really nice, and white chocolate, and you just smash it and crash it, and hey, just like that. Granulated sugar. See, we're learning all the terms. So we're going with craisins, but you could use raisins, and we need 100 grams of those little mothers. In they go. And I think that's it for the dry. Oh, no, lemon zest. Okay. I chuck in and do whatever I want with baking, with cooking, but baking, I follow it to a T because I'm not very good at baking. I can bake biscuits, though. I wish I could be a better baker. I can do really good chilled desserts, but I stick to the recipe when I bake because someone said to me a long time ago, cooking is an art, baking is a science, and I was shit at science. That's why I did law. And, I measure everything out. Now, we need lemon zest of 1 lemon. My sister has given me these lemons from her tree at home. Now, when you buy lemons in the store, they're all perfectly shaped and they're perfectly yellow. These are what homegrown lemons. There's nothing wrong with this one, even though it looks a bit bruised. This is what proper homegrown organic lemons look like. I gave them a bit of a wash, but I reckon I'm going to be able to get roughly enough of that beautiful yellow lemon zest. And that's my favourite thing in the kitchen. That's my little lemon zester, lemon and lime zester. I love it. Baking is chemistry. Yeah, follow the instructions. So I'm just going to zest, see how it does it in little curls. I'll do it over the bowl. The cameras are quite a way away from me. I've tried a different setup today. So you do get to see the bench. Unfortunately, you do get to see my sink as well, but I'm just zesting all the nice yellow bits off this lemon. It doesn't matter if you using a homegrown lemon. If you get a bit of the brown and stuff, it still tastes amaze balls, but I'm just getting the nice yellowy bits. The authentic lemons are not picture perfect like the ones you get in a store. And there's a bit of yellow on this one as well that I'm going to also use. I go through so many lemons. In my cooking, I use lemons all the time. And also when you've used like a lemon to lemon juice it, like to get lemon juice, that half of the lemon or the two halves that you're left with, try doing the dishes with them. Lemon juice is a natural detergent. And I learned that. It's a little hippie trick I learned up in Byron Bay. But don't chuck those lemon halves into the compost. Do the dishes with them first. You'll be amazed. You will. So that's roughly enough zest of a lemon. You're shit at science, Kylie. How's your bacon? So we're just going to mix all of this stuff, not your bacon as in pig bacon. Just going to mix all these beautiful ingredients together. It already smells delicious. I'll tilt the bowl so you get a bit of an action shot. Who doesn't love cookies though? I'm going down to some friends this afternoon, just popping in for an hour. They're watching the Anzac Day Australian Football League AFL game and having a few beers. And I'm going to take them down some freshly baked Anzac cookies. And I'll leave half a dozen at home because I've got my sister-in-law and my niece coming for lunch tomorrow. And I'm making a quiche. And if I'm super organised, I'll go live tomorrow because this quiche is from a women's weekly cookbook that belonged to my mum. And it's the most basic quiche around, and it's one of the most tasty quiches you'll ever have. It's a vegetarian one. It's tomato, feta and leek, but oh my God, it's good. You could always put bacon or something in it if you wanted to, but I don't. And I'm making a yummy salad to go with it. Now I'm just noticing some of the brown sugar is still a bit clumpy, so I'm just going to break them down with my fingers. Women are notorious for following instructions. You prefer the money shot. I'm really good at following instructions when I'm baking. I'm not so good when I'm cooking. I'm a bit rustic. I'm just breaking up too. There's a few clumps of craisins. But the best utensil you can use in your kitchen, your hands, groovers. Your hands. There won't be any money shots on today's cooking, especially with these. They make me feel like I'm a child. They're kind of clashing with my glasses, like they're all competing to be in the same spot. So there you go, nicely mixed. And we're just going to set that aside because now we've got to do a wee bit of cooking. We're now going to get all of our wet ingredients assembled. You just need a little saucepan like this, sort of. You don't need a huge one. Put it, I think, on about a medium heat. Oh, no, low, sorry. Low. A low heat. And into that, we are going to put 185 grams of unsalted butter. Unsalted butter offends me. I love salty butter. But when you're baking, it's always fucking unsalted. But what's wrong with a bit of salt? If you don't have unsalted butter, use normal butter. I quite like a bit of salt in sweet things. I don't eat a lot of sweet things, so if there's a bit of a savoury twist, bring it on. We also want to add 60 grams of runny honey. That's runny honey. What's everyone doing on the weekend? Anyone doing anything exciting? Did anyone else go to a dawn service like me? I'm going to be ready for a disco nap at about 1 o'clock, I reckon. Okay, honey is in. Just gonna wash my hands again. Add your own salt. Exactly. I will. You watch. You need unsalted butter for baking because you should always be doing it yourself. I love salted butter for everything too, Brenda. And we're going to add 30 mils of water. And I'm just going to give that a little stir till basically everything is melted. And then coming up is a bit of theatre. Brace yourselves, groovers. It is on a low heat, so it's going to take a little while to melt. What's happening in chat? Grasp control of your flavour, ladies. Salt's good. I do a smoothie. I love breakfast smoothies. I do one with blueberries, water, ice, coconut milk, like 60 mils of coconut milk. I use coconut flavoured protein powder and a pinch of salt, and it's so good, and it's good because of the pinch of salt. Cheers, everybody. This is water, by the way. I just like it in a wine glass because I don't drink. It makes me feel grown up. Did you have a rum and milk? I didn't have one. My dad used to take us off to the RSL after the dawn service, between the service and the parade, for a rum and milk. If I drink, which I can't drink like I used to, but my drink of choice, rum, love it. As a youngster, I liked rum and Diet Coke, and people used to go, the Diet Coke's not going to take the sugar out of the rum. It's like, no, I just don't like the taste of Coke. It makes my teeth feel furry, yuck. But when I got a bit older, I'm into rum with dry ginger ale or ginger beer and a slice of lime. But rum with milk, it's gross. You always go for banana and strawberries, usually with frozen yogurt and sometimes a Weet-Bix. Nice. I love green smoothies too. I make a lot. But that blueberry one with the pinch of salt is delicious. I'm sorry, Sonny. Am I disturbing your sleep that you've been doing all day? She's a little bit vocal, but you can't, like, she's got the tiniest voice, but she talks to me a lot. She just had to readjust her sleeping position. She's now sound asleep again, just looked straight at me and just went, how dare you disturb me, mother? All right, we've got some action happening in this little saucepan now. You basically know this is good to go when all the butter has melted. And it hasn't yet. Do a smoothie? Absolutely. There is a video for one of my smoothies, I think it's a green smoothie that's got orange in it from memory. It was one of the first attempts I had at editing a video on my channel. It's yummy too. Old mate gets offended if you don't drink it, so you have to take one for the team. Exactly. And I used to with Dad and my grandpa. I'd just be like, yay. But I skipped the rum at the RSL this morning and came back here and went for a beach walk instead. I made a coffee because I was so tired. I hardly slept. I couldn't sleep last night. I think I've got restless leg syndrome. I just could not get comfortable. My legs were just flailing all night. And then I was like, I might as well just stay awake and go to the dawn service. But I ended up getting about 2 hours sleep. So I got home, made a coffee and took that with me in a little keep cup for a walk on the beach. And then I went on a mission to get the missing ingredients for these cookies and ended up realising that all the shops, out of respect for our veterans, don't open till midday. So, yeah, it's been quite a day. But I think a little nana nap on the couch this afternoon is in order. Sounds like one for Kylie too. You reckon Captain Morgan will taste nice with milk? I've tried Kraken with milk out of curiosity. Bundy and milk's bad, bad, bad. I reckon Captain Morgan's the rum that the RSL that we used to go to with Dad. Or did we go to the Naval Club? But yeah, I think they actually use Captain. No, it's not. It's wrong. It's wrong. If you don't already take it, try magnesium at night. Helps with the sleep, takes away a restless leg. Okay, cool. Thank you, Nada. Oh, and yeah, just like that as well, magnesium. All right. I've got a thing that I got in a one of my healthy products subscription boxes that is like a spray that you spray and then rub into your legs, and I'm pretty sure that's magnesium. I did use it a few times. I might get it out again. It sprays on like charcoal, it's black, and then you rub it into your legs. And I'm pretty sure it's magnesium. I know I've got a couple of things in my whole cupboard where all my medicines and stuff are. I might rummage because, yeah, I used to use them a lot and I didn't have any trouble sleeping, but I probably didn't need to use them at the time either. Thank you for that. I'll check, but if not, I'll go and grab some. Do you guys take tablets or do you use the rub-in spray things? Because I'm pretty sure I've got 2 different types of rub-in sprays. Or do you take tablets? I had full-on cold symptoms last night too. Like I was fine, and then you know how when you're starting to get sick and you get really hot and then you get really cold, and my nose was runny, and so I took vitamin C, B12, cold and flu tablets, you name it. And maybe that's also, I was thinking when I was lying in bed, I'm like, maybe I'm not able to sleep because I've got all these weird medicines cruising around my body. But whatever it was, this morning I woke up and it was fine. But I was a bit wary because my sister and niece have just flown to Tassie. They were in quarantine for 14 days, but then they get out of quarantine and fly again, and they didn't have to quarantine a second time. And you're kind of like, huh. And then when I caught up with my girlfriends, after I caught up with my niece and my sister-in-law and my nephew who lives in Melbourne, I caught up with some other friends, and one of the girls there was sick. And it's like, don't go out when you're sick. She's a really good friend of mine. I love her to bits, but I'm like, ugh, because I always catch shit if I'm around people who are sick. But anyway, I woke up today and it had gone. Hello, Andrew Shearer. Oh, hi. You calling me a hoe? I wish. You both use tablets. All right. Well, I'll see if I can dig out those sprays, and if they don't have any effect, then I've got no chance of getting magnesium today because it's Anzac Day. And a lot of pharmacies will be shut tomorrow too because it's a holiday. Butter's nearly melted, guys. So brace yourselves for the theatre. We're going to be getting a bit of, hopefully, a bit of frothing up because we're going to be adding a teaspoon of bicarb of soda to the butter mix, giving that a bit of a stir in the saucepan for about 15 seconds, and then we're going to pour it in and mix it all together. But we want the mixture to become light and frothy. So this is you kind of cute. Thank you. I will take that compliment because at the age of 54, you don't get many compliments anymore, not like in your youth when you're insecure and paranoid about your looks and people say nice things to you and you don't know how to just accept a compliment. And then when you get older and you're like, I'll take any compliment. So thank you, Andrew Shearer. Thank you. Okay, so all the butter's melted. We're going to chuck our teaspoon of bicarb soda in. And you want to get on with stirring it. And I don't know if I'd call that frothy. It's got a bit of a foamy sort of look to it. It's definitely made it more creamy. Oh, yeah, I suppose you'd call that. What did he call it, though? Frothy. Light and frothy. Well, it's definitely light. I suppose that's frothy. What do you guys reckon? It's as frothy as it's going to get. I was expecting more of a, but no. Anyway, let's just chuck it straight in with our dry ingredients. And mix it all together. This isn't a recipe where you have to be precious and fold it gently or anything. Like, mix that shit together, right? Mix it thoroughly. It's the cat ears. Well, like I said, I'm going to take anything. See how it's all coming together? Oh, my God, guys, it smells amazing. It smells so good. It's pretty yummy aromas coming out of this bowl right now. Nothing really like a traditional Anzac cookie, but I did explain at the start that we are doing Yotam Ottolenghi's version. So I'm not claiming these are Anzacs. That's why I put it in inverted commas, like he did too. All right, so I'm going to wash my hands because we're about to play with some balls. Why does my nose always go itchy when I go live? I think it's the tinted moisturiser that I put on to try and have a bit of facial coverage. I don't know. All right, get our baking trays that we prepared earlier. This is actually my pizza tray. If anyone, when I've got a beautiful pizza stone that I use on my barbecue and in my oven, but before I had that, I got this. If you ever see a tray like this with holes in the bottom for pizza, it makes the bottom crunchy. All right. We're going to make some bowls. Now, he says, what does he say? About 40 grams, maybe like a golf ball size. Oh, I was going to take off my bling. Hang on. I'm kind of going for this size. About 40 grams, he reckons. I'm just going to remove my rings. Hopefully not lose them down the sink. Okay. Making some balls. Who doesn't like playing with balls? Actually, to be honest, I'm happy to play with balls because I know the owner of the balls finds it pleasurable, but it's not really, I don't really get excited about it. I'm happy to do it for them. I like the sounds they make when I'm doing it. But me personally, I mean, I guess it's the pleasure I give them from doing it that makes it nice for me. The actual act of just playing with scrotum itself, it's not something I hang out to do on a daily basis. But should I end up in that sort of scenario, I'm happy to do it. But yeah, it's more the fact that it's making them feel great that I like doing it. It's not something that... So I'll take back my previous comment. Not everyone likes playing with balls. YouTubers Live needs to clip you saying that. I hope everyone knows that I'm not NewsTubers Live now. Like, honestly, I felt perfectly entitled to do my live about being NewsTubers as a joke after seeing people in a chat on YouTube telling everyone that I was NewsTubers. I'm like, well, they're saying it's me, so let's go live and dispel it. So I went live and I was very tongue-in-cheek and very sarcastic, and it clearly went over a lot of people's heads because even after watching my live, people were saying things like, I knew it was you. But my live was all about how basically it was impossible for me to be NewsTubers Live, and the evidence that I had proving that, I twisted it and made it compelling evidence that I was, like the fact that NewsTubers Live and I have been on panel together. How NewsTubers Live clipped me out at a wildlife sanctuary because I'm so big on self-promotion. I created a whole new channel doing a heap of videos about people I don't know so I could include a video about myself. So that kind of sarcasm. But anyway, the header was confession time. I'm NewsTubers Live. Anyway, Newsy actually got in touch with me and asked me to change it because she was starting to get troll comments under her videos about it as well. Thank you, just like that. Yeah, they did just read the title, Morgan. And all the lengths people are going to stop fake news. Do you know how you stop it? By encouraging people to read articles or to listen to the full story. But it ain't going to happen. So anyway, I changed the name of that live. It says I'm not NewsTubers Live. But yeah, even Newsy was copying some trolls saying that she was me. So yeah. Not everyone gets sarcasm. Not everyone's fluent in it, I understand. But maybe listen to a few minutes. Although maybe my sarcasm was so convincing. Perhaps that's a skill I possess that I should tap into a bit more. Want your Instagram? We can have fun. Are you hitting on me in chat, Andrew Shearer? That's a first. I'm on Instagram as my cat, so Sunny's not a tart, just so you know. But if you tell her she's beautiful 1,000 times a day, she'll love you forever. No, she's not vain. She's exceptionally beautiful. All right, so we've got 3, 6, 9. We've got 12 balls on this tray. They're all pretty similar in size and shape. On to the remainder. What does the recipe say? It says, pardon me, oh my nose. It says it makes 22. I've gone for fat and chunky. There's no way I'm getting 22 out of this. And I've got to make them all the same size so they all cook for the same amount of time. And how big does Yotam think a golf ball is? Yotam's gay. He should know more about balls than I do. He's got balls and he loves balls. Yotam, when was the last time you played golf, mate? I mean, is this not kind of a golf ball shape and size? 22? Nah. We're not getting 22. Do we have to squash them a little bit? No, I've just got to spread them about 5 centimetres apart. I might have to spread them out a bit on the 2 trays. You want to see my cat, Andrew? Don't be hitting on Sunny. Hey, Dragon's Law. You were so convincing. Ivan commented on YouTubers Live today how they threw me off. I wasn't mean by no means. I enjoy. Yeah, she's great, but she's not me. But yeah, someone, I don't know what they said. She didn't tell me. She just messaged me the other night and asked me to change the title, which I did. I haven't spoken to her since then, so I hope she wasn't angry at me. Because there was someone in a chat saying I was her and then a heap of other people agreeing. I felt entitled to clear the air. It's not my fault people didn't listen or they didn't understand my sarcasm, is it? But anyway, Newsy, if you happen to be watching, I love your guts and I'm sorry if someone gave you a hard time because of me defending my name. Don't be hitting on Sunny. It's Sunny the Boho Beach cat. Hello, gorgeous. She heard her name. She's like, "Whoop." I rescue old cats. So a lot of people who follow my channel for a long time were big fans of my other beautiful girl, Biscuit, who died in February, and I still can't believe it. I miss her like crazy. And while I was still an absolute mess about her dying, I rescued Sunny, who's only human of 9 years, got sick very quickly and died. Not much older than me, or in fact my age. So she's got a broken heart too, wondering where her human is. So we've been kind of mending each other's broken hearts. It's kind of sweet. Oh, thanks for putting her thing. You'll rescue my cat. You can't rescue my cat. I've rescued her. Unless you're making jokes of an adult nature and using the word cat as a euphemism. I'm usually on point with sarcasm. You were great and very convincing. I logged off thinking you could even be me. I had fun doing it, and it wasn't meant to. I'm sorry if you Newsy did cop any shit about it, but I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt by it or have to deal with. This last one's very crumbly. We'll put that in the middle. That can be the tester. Now, it doesn't even say to flatten them or anything like other cookie recipes do. Let's put the bowl around there. I'm going to space them out a bit more too. But yeah, I hope people didn't give her shit about it. But I'd be very surprised if she was hurt. I think it was more just the confusion. Or maybe she was just legit horrified that people thought she was me. Didn't think of that. Maybe she's like, fuck no, don't say I'm that fucking idiot. Just going to space these bowls out a little bit more. Make some room on this side for... All right, ski. Now, in Yotam's book, when people do recipe books, they have stylists who style photos and stuff. You'll see there's a lot of loose oats possibly and bits of coconut lying around them. I decided I'd just put on a few of them some shredded coconut. I love this stuff more than life itself. It's so gorgeous. But I thought I'd be a bit arty and just sprinkle a few bits of coconut. It'll probably just all burn and look terrible, but I was inspired to try and be a bit arty. But it's probably just been roasted in a little frying pan and then just added at the end for the photo opportunity. But I love coconut, so if there's a bit of a burnt coconut flavour, bring it on. Now, these little fuckers are going to go in the oven for 18 to 20 minutes. Set the timer because I always end up chatting and forget. You want them to cook until they're, what does he say? They're golden brown but still slightly soft. Remove from the oven and set aside for 5 minutes on the tray before transferring to a wire rack. And the cookies should be crispy on the outside but retain a chew on the inside. That's the plan. Now, he does also say once you've baked these are biscuits that you shouldn't keep in a cake tin because they will go soggy. He says what you should do is do layers with parchment paper or baking paper in between and then wrap them up in foil. That's the way to store them. And if you do that, they'll keep for 3 to 4 days. Thank you, Andrew Shearer. Where have you come from, Andrew Shearer? How did you find my channel? Where are you from? Sunny is fully stretching out at the moment. God, she's got a good life. I've got a papasan chair and, you know, the big sort of wicker semicircles, and then there's a big cushion and you just sort of get in them and curl up in them and read your book. So the cushion, because I can't leave the cushion out on the deck during winter, it gets wrecked obviously by the weather, but also the possums would wreck it. So the cushion off the papasan chair is always just in the doorway out onto the deck. So she's got like this gigantic circular cushion basically, but it's partly leaning up against an armchair, so it's a bit like that sort of shape. Sometimes she curls up asleep on top of it, but she's fully stretched out. I just wanted to watch cooking, then I found a hot girl. Andrew Shearer, you're turning it on this afternoon. Wish we had smell-o-vision. Well, yeah, they do smell delicious. They do. But even just the lemons smell delicious after doing a bit of zesting, just that lovely citrusy smell. One thing I didn't do, I didn't space the racks out. They're pretty close together, but that's all right. I'll keep an eye on them. It does smell really good in here. It does. And I'll take some down to Roger and Linda's this afternoon and then save the rest for my sister-in-law and my niece for tomorrow when they come for lunch. We're going to have a yummy quiche. If I'm organised, I'll go live in the morning and make this quiche because it's a ripper. If you're into quiches, and I haven't made quiches for a long time. I've just started getting back into pies and tarts and quiches. But it's so simple, but it's so yummy. It's an absolute winner dish. It's nicer than quiche Lorraine and what's the other notorious quiche? The spinach one, which are both lovely too, but this one it's a bomb. It's got tomato, basil, leeks, feta. It's delicious. And it looks really pretty because I make it with phyllo. So I've got all these shards of phyllo shooting out of the quiche dish. And I'll just make a cheeky little salad with lots of different greens, all yummy, yummy, crunchy. And then we'll have a cup of tea and some Anzac cookies before they head home. What are you groovers all up to? Actually, let's see if I can find that quiche book or the recipe, the Women's Weekly. I love my mum's and my grandma's Women's Weeklies. Some of them are just hideous. I think it's one of these ones. Some of the recipes, honestly, like look at this, the barbecue one. But like the photography is all wrong. The way they plate everything up is hideous. And I'll find a really gross salad. I wanted to start making some of this stuff on this channel as a bit of a laugh. And then I was like, but I'm going to have to serve up this really shitty looking food to people or I'm going to have to eat it. And a huge part of eating is eating with our eyes. This one's actually not... I'm trying to find the layered salads. They're the worst. When I lived in the States, like, look at this, okay? This is a beetroot salad up the top with a ginger dressing. See that big circle? Like, would you serve anything that looked like that these days? Hell to the no. Food is plated up so differently these days. Let me find some gross layered salads. But I thought it'd be hilarious to do this stuff on my channel. And then I was like, yeah, hilarious until you've got to eat it or serve it up to your friends and family. I know one of them's got really disgusting layered salads. Oh, here we go. Oh, but this has also got the quiche. I'll come around this side so you can see. I don't know if it's going to be in view or not. Hopefully it is. That's the quiche I'm going to make tomorrow. Except picture it with phyllo, not a crust. I could do a crust, but a pastry crust. I could do a short crust pastry base. So that's what I'm making tomorrow, and it's divine. And they actually call it a elite quiche. But check out this layered salad things, like these gross things. Look at these gross things. They're all jelly desserts. So you've got a spinach and pistachio mousse, then jellied gazpacho, and that's like gazpacho is a cold soup. And some arsehole has put gelatin in it, and I don't know I hope you guys are getting decent shots of this shit. And this an egg one with the little eggs and olive garnishes. I'll come around and check if you guys are actually able to see this shit. Yeah, the old jelly salads, I know. A gut-filled sea urchin, that ginger and beetroot thing, it did. So you're obviously, I don't know if you're able to, you've never had a quiche? Oh, they're delicious. Like this thing. This is a layered monstrosity. Look at this fucker. I'm hoping you can see these photos. But it looks like there's peas, and then clearly there's some mushroom. Then there's some sort of thing that actually looks like maggots, some sort of white yellow thing. Then we've got some kind of creamy dressing, and then tomatoes and bacon. And now all of that stuff together in a salad would be quite delicious, but it's all layered and rank. Let me find another gross one. I think I donated the really gross ones to one of the... Like, look at this disgustingness. This is a layered casserole in a glass dish. So you can see cauliflower, zucchini, carrot, capsicum, onion, and mashed potato on top. But they've actually served it in a glass dish so you can see all the veggie juices and veggie jizz all just hanging out together. I'm disappointed though. I haven't been able to find some really repugnant ones yet. Give me a sec. I just saw a really wrong looking dessert. What is this fucker? This is a 2-berry ice cream. But it looks like strawberries sitting in a spare tyre. They just didn't garnish and plate up the way we do now. You can see. Some of us don't know how to cook. Did you take offence to something, Brenda? I'm just showing you the olden days ways of plating up dishes. Imagine on a show like MasterChef if people plated up the way they used to. Because you eat with your eyes, and I'm sorry, but some of this plating up is not visually appealing. Some of it's fine. Don't get me wrong, a veggie casserole, bring it on, but do it in a pot. Don't have it all visible in a glass dish. Exactly. Just go for it. Have the pizza delivered. And nobody has to... I mean, if people don't like cooking... I'd love to do a channel, my food channel, which I've now no longer got, but I went and found the easiest, yummiest recipes I could and put them up on a website to encourage people to try. And they were tested by me, but not just tested for how easy they were, but also seasonal, affordable, and amazing to eat, but really, really easy. And I cooked through so many different cookbooks and recipe books and stuff online to bring people the best, easiest, most affordable and delicious dishes. And I'd kind of like to crank it up again because a lot of people that don't like cooking or a lot of people who don't think that they can cook, they were dishes that anyone could make. They were super, super easy. Yeah, I think I got rid of the really rank ones. But anyway, enough of that tomfoolery. Now I've got to find, where's the one with the quiche in it? So I'll make that tomorrow. That quiche is the only decent looking thing in that book. Where's it gone? Oh, I'm back at the ugly beetroot salad. Oh, it might be the best ever recipes from the weekly. There it is. I'm making that tomorrow. It's so good. When was this book published? It cost me, I bought this myself, it cost me $5.98. That was back in the day where you didn't round up. I would have got 2 cents change. It doesn't have the publishing date in it. No idea. When I was a kidlet, I used to buy recipe books and cookbooks, and I used to sit in the kitchen with my grandmothers and my mum for hours in their kitchens just watching them cook and asking questions. I'm learning how to cook. It was my thing even as a little kid. All right. Nothing's changed. I'll still read a cookbook before I read a novel. Although I'll show you my favourite cookbook, which is also a novel. I was reading it the other night. This book is so beautiful. It's beautiful for a number of reasons. One is the actual paper to touch. I'm very tactile. It's really sexy paper. I know that might sound a bit weird. It's also got unbelievable pictures in it. I'll show you. Like gorgeous artwork. Can you see the naked lady? And it's called Aphrodite. It's by Isabel Allende, who's a beautiful writer. But it's the love of food and the food of love. So this book is all aphrodisiacs. It's all aphrodisiac food. And if you make stuff out of this book, people do get a bit... And they all talk about back in the day where they'd all pig out on amazing food and just have this massive shag fest going on. She also speaks to all of her nonnas about what food they used to seduce their husbands with, and all these other people in France and Egypt and all over the world sharing their stories. It's gorgeous. If you can find Aphrodite, I recommend it. It's beautiful. And even the paper is gorgeous. I can't cook either, but they have to eat it or starve. They were women's weeklies, yes, Kylie. I've got my grandmothers and great-grandmothers and great-grandfather and my mum's, and the problem is I've tried to make a few things out of them, but you've got to convert everything. So you've got to factor in that we've got fan-forced ovens or that we're cooking with gas. I tried to make my mum's chocolate cake twice and kept burning it, and it was only after I burnt the second one I'm like, oh, duh. I've got a fan force, so I was cooking it for like 40 minutes on the temperature that she'd recommended, and it should have been at least 20 degrees cooler and less time. So, yeah, I kept thinking how much fun it would be to cook through her. And I've got loads of books down below of grandparents, male and female, and their cookbooks. But there's all these recipes for offal and all kinds of gross things. And I was thinking, that'd be quite fun to do some offal. But no, I wouldn't eat it. So it'd be a waste of time and money, but also who else would be making it? But the other thing is, you've got to kind of convert temperatures. There's ingredients that you've got to Google and see what the modern day equivalent is. And it's a lot of hard work to cook something that nobody's going to want to eat anyway. But I do have a couple of hilarious cookbooks that I will start making stuff out of. People with kids, you need to tune in to some of them. It's a book that my mum got to make us enjoy. Not that she had a problem getting us to enjoy food, but it was a book that was put out for parents to make kids eat food, and it was a way of making it more appetizing. And some of the stuff in there it looks revolting and hilarious. But it won't be overly expensive for me to make some of that stuff. And I'm also going to keep working on my baking because I've got a very funny cookie book. I want to start making stuff out of that. It'll be a bit like that show on Netflix, Nailed It. Like you'll see the before and after shots. And because I'm not artistic and I'm not good at baking, could be comedy gold. Shagfest cookbooks. One cookbook is all about eggs. Wicked. What was that children's cake? Oh, that was the Women's Weekly birthday cake book, which I don't have a copy of it here. I've got lots of women's weekly books and they've got some of the recipes, but they ended up putting all of them into one. So when I was scam baiting and I was showing all those different cakes, not the rude ones, the fun ones at the swimming pool, that's a women's weekly birthday cake. You can order that one online. You'd be able to order that. It's kind of fun now. We're all in our 50s and you rock up to someone's birthday and somebody's gone to the trouble of making a women's weekly train cake for your 50-something-year-old friend. They're pretty funny. My niece has got my copy. She loves it because she makes a lot of the birthday cakes for the family. She's into baking, whereas I do all the savoury stuff. Jemima does all the desserts. She does all the cakes and muffins and stuff like that. I'm going to put the kettle on because I want to make a cup of tea. Oh, God, that went quickly, didn't it? Oh, yeah. Wait till you see these little mofos. I'm using my Marimako oven mitt that's got poppies on it because poppies are the symbol for Anzac Day. Holy shitballs. Okay. I can see why he makes 22. These are big. But guys, they look amazing. They're not showing up as dark. They've gone golden. I'll try and bring it closer. Oh my God, they smell amazing. Got a bit of spillage in aisle 6 though. There's a couple over here that are a bit munted, so they're the ones I'll be trying. Hey Trixie, we're making Yotam Ottolenghi's version of Australian Anzac cookies or biscuits. It's Anzac Day in Australia and New Zealand, and Anzac biscuits are a bit of a tradition, and some people would argue it's sacrilege to not stick to the traditional recipe, but I made these a couple of years ago and they're so bloody good. I thought we'll make them again. That's just a little rack that I'm going to be cooling them on. They need to continue to cook on the tray for about 5 minutes. So while they're just finishing up, they may actually have needed a bit longer. They might be really soft in the middle because I made mine a lot bigger. He said 22 and I only made... I only made 19 big fat fuckers. This is my grandma's cake tin that it's full of tea bags. I'm a massive tea drinker. There's every kind of tea under the sun in there. There's herbals. We've got ginger, 3 ginger, licorice. We've got cinnamon. We've got Russian caravan, chamomile, green tea, Energize Me, cocoa and chili, peppermint. There's breakfast tea, afternoon teas. There's all fucking tea, chamomile flower tea. And it does go down pretty quickly. But yeah, if you're ever stuck for a present for me when you're a friend of mine in the real world, a box of any kind of tea is a winner for me. What am I doing? Get some tea and a splash of milk. Oh, you're awake, Sonny. Hello. Since you're just mooching around doing nothing, if you want to do the bin, that'd be great. Thank you. Got my tea. Yeah, breakfast teas, yum. Yeah, the smell of teas together is yummy, but they don't. Someone said to me, "Why have you got all those different teas in the same tin?" They don't. It doesn't actually affect the flavour. Like the tea I'm having now was a loose black tea bag, and it won't have any sort of traces of cinnamon or peppermint or anything. Like tea holds its own, man. Tea's beautiful, isn't it? This was my mum's mug. I don't have many. I'm not very sentimental. Like people keep a lot of their parents' and grandparents' stuff, but this is her mug. And I love the simplicity and the design. Not that I'm a crazy cat lady, but I love it. Like, look at the little fish. Like, I don't know who the artist is, but it's a Chinese artist. But I just love the simplicity of the design. And it's really hot. So what's everyone doing for the rest of the weekend? Anything exciting? Because as soon as these have gone on the rack to cool, I'm going to try one. I like eating them when they're warm out of the oven. But they may be a bit doughy because he made 3 more than me. Mine are quite chunky. Brenda's making tea. So you can cook, Brenda. You can make tea. You can cook. That's cooking. God, it smells good in here, guys. Seriously. So they are even more golden now because they do keep cooking when you take them out of the oven. You can see how they've got a bit darker. This is the one that's got some munted ones. So I'm going to eat one of the munties. My sister-in-law doesn't cook. I mean, she cooks for her children, but she's not a cook. My brother's a really good cook. So I can probably even serve up slightly munted cookies to her tomorrow and she'll still think they're amazing because she can't cook. Actually, those random bits of coconut that I just sprinkled to be artistic like Yotam, they didn't burn. They've gone golden and they look kind of pretty. I'm going to chuck that back in the oven. So I don't have a lot of available bench space. These are the big ones. God, did you have grandmothers that made? My grandmother made these biscuits that were called rock cakes. These are reminding me of her rock cakes. I don't know why they were called rock cakes because they weren't like really super hard and crunchy. They had lots of fruit in them and they had orange peel and they were kind of like a fruit scone, I guess. But there was something slightly different about the dough that gave them a special rock cakey kind of flavour. Well, these are going to look absolutely pretty because they're fitting perfectly on. I should take a photo, hey. Excuse fingers. Oh my God, guys, these look so good. Don't drop them, Tori. Don't drop them. Can you see them? They look like they're out of a cookbook. They're pretty. They look really pretty. I'm going to take a photo. This might be the first recipe I put up on my new... Although these aren't like... They weren't super hard, but they're not really easy either. If you're not... Well, I mean, they weren't super hard, but if you don't like cooking, you probably wouldn't make them because there's a few different processes and steps to getting them together, but... Let's grab a stool and come and sit with you for a sec while I do a taste test. Yum. This is a friend of mine dropped in yesterday. I knew she was going to come and say hi. I wish she dropped in right now because the house would smell amazing with that fresh baking smell. They look better than the cookbook. That's not Kettle watching the kettle. Brenda, it's cooking. If someone else makes it, I don't complain. They look so good. Nan makes scones like nobody's business. They're always. Does she put lemonade in hers? I make the CWA cookbook version, and their secret ingredients lemonade. It makes them fluffy. They look better than the cookbook. Oh my God, that's baking. Yeah, they're amazing, aren't they? Just sit, enjoy these. I might just take a photo of them though, because it's quite possible that I'll eat another one before I deliver them down to my friends. Whoops. No, they're not lined up now. They were. They moved. They moved when I was showing them to you, Groovers. But you were here while these were created and born. So you're all very much a part of these. There we go. They might be the first recipe I put on my website. I don't think I'm going to need this, but does anyone still have their ducky fork from when they were little? It's a little fork with a little duck on the top. I actually do find this really handy to eat little cakes and biscuits and things. I'm not going to eat these. I'm going to use my fingeroonies. Oh, guys, they're nice and moist. Oh my God. These are so much better with the craisins. I mean, they were nice with the raisins, but holy shit, the craisins, they're now next level yum. They're crunchy on the outside and they're not, probably when they've cooled, they'll be chewy in the middle. Oh God, they're so good. These are the best cookies in the world. Yum. I didn't have bran flakes, so I used Special K, which is a cereal, and crumbled them up because you need to have some sort of crunchy element. I like the flavour of bran. I probably would prefer the bran flakes, but I think they added a completely new dimension. And I didn't have any raisins, so I used craisins. But when I say these are the best cookies in the world, it's Yotam's recipe. I just put it together. So I can truly sit here and say they are the best cookies in the world. It's not because I made them. It's because Yotam wrote that recipe. Oh, Trixie, there's a link in the description to my video to a blog, a girl who made them. She's put it up on her blog. They're also, if anyone has got Yotam Ottolenghi books, and if you haven't yet, you should really have a look at getting them because I've got the whole set, and he does a lot of vegetable based dishes that are unbelievable just as the veggies. You don't even need to put a protein, but this recipe's from this book, Sweet, and it's on page 52. But if you have a look in the description of my video, I also found a blog where a girl has made them and put them up on her blog. So go check it out, and you may need to convert measurements and stuff. And that was one thing that I did with my website was I converted So I'd have like the grams and milliliters and all that sort of stuff, and then I'd change it to pounds, and I'd have both. But but if you're in the US and you order Yotam's books, they'll come to you with your US measurements in it. I've obviously got the metric version. The honeys, they don't taste anything like Anzac biscuits at all, nor should they. They're amazing. I wish you were all sitting here having one with me. My God, they're good. But yeah, they're Yotam came to Australia and experienced the joy that is an Anzac Day biscuit, and then he's created a version inspired by them. So they're not true Anzac cookies, but holy fuck, they're great. They don't need to be. He calls them, in brackets, he's called them Anzac Biscuits, aka honey, oat and raisin cookies. But mine are honey, oat and craisin cookies. Don't you just love a warm cookie straight out of the oven? I love, though, that he's used the word biscuits because he's been inspired by Australians, because we say biscuit. When you guys say cookie, we say biscuit. When you say biscuit, we say scone. When you say scone, no fucking idea, because we don't put our scones with gravy. Our scones are either plain and we do whipped cream and strawberry jam, or they might have a little bit of fruit through them, like some sultanas and some orange peel and some spices. Or they're savoury, like with spinach and feta and capsicum. But yeah, Trixie, check out under my... in the description for this live, you'll find the link to the blog of a girl who made them. I did my research. I didn't want to be making something this amazing and not give you access to the recipe. But like I said, I couldn't get bran flakes because all the shops are shut till midday out of respect for our veterans. So I got some cereal and just crushed it up with my hands a bit. But even with bran flakes, you crush them up. And I couldn't get raisins because I didn't have any in the house. So I did have craisins. But they're amazing. They're beautiful. Americans have scones and gravy, but they call it biscuits and gravy. I actually don't know when they say a scone what the fuck they're eating. Because what they call biscuits, we call scones, but they do biscuits and gravy, which we don't. We do scones with whipped cream and strawberry jam, or we have savoury ones. So when they say biscuits and gravy, that is kind of like a plain scone, but it's with gravy. So what are you guys having when you're having a scone? I'm not ending this live till I know the answer to this mystery. Morgan's making biscuits and gravy tomorrow. Morgan, explain to us, when you say a scone, what is that? Because, yeah, our biscuits are your cookies. Your biscuits are scones. So what the fuck are you talking about when you have a scone? My computer's over here. That's why I keep looking over here for chat. I was going to put my phone on a little stand and just have my YouTube channel running, but it's so hard to read chat on my phone. It's much easier just to have my laptop. Fair enough, hairy muff. Brenda, the trick to cooking, I mean, if you don't cook because you don't like it, then I'm not going to convince you otherwise, even though my Traces of Nuts website was all about instilling confidence in people. Like a friend of mine, Jules, by the beach, who pops in sometimes, She cooked a recipe off my website for her husband, and he said it was one of the best meals he'd had in his life. And she's like, the best part of it was that she'd cooked it because she didn't have any confidence in her cooking. She was cooking. We both did roast chickens on our barbies one night, one of my lives. Jules took a link and we were both cooking roast chickens out on the barbie together. So she's come a long way, but yeah, she didn't have any confidence in her cooking, and she did this dish and her husband said it was one of the best meals of his life, like in the top 3. Scones are like dessert. Scones and biscuits are very different. A scone has more butter and sugar. Wait. A biscuit has less butter and baking powder, is it? Right, yeah, okay, gotcha. So when you say a scone, that's what we would call a scone when we're having it with jam and cream. So it's almost like, yeah, so a sweeter scone. See, our plain scones aren't sweet. It's what we put on them that makes them sweet. So we put like strawberry jam, or what you guys would call jello. Wait a minute, no. Yes. Well, sorry, jelly. What you guys call jelly, we call jam. What you call jello, we call jelly. Fuck. As in the wobbly gelatin. That's jelly or jello for you. So when you say a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, the jelly, we would call that part of it a jam. So we do like the plain scones are more salty, but then you put whipped cream and jam on them. Delicious. So it's almost like you've got 2 different words for kind of the same thing, because the biscuits are probably also like a scone, but they're savoury versions, and then you put gravy on them. Is that right? Or do you still see a difference? Brenda, I burn toast. I love you, Brenda. I burn toast. Oh, dolls. It's your toaster that's burning it, not you. You just need to change the setting. Okay, so scone is for sweet things, and a biscuit has distinct baking powder taste in it. Okay. We have jelly and jam. You have jam too. When I was in the Midwest, when they had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, the jelly was like a jam. It wasn't like a gelatin thing. So your biscuits, less butter, more dry, and have a distinct baking powder taste. Yeah. I did have biscuits and gravy when I was in the States. I can't remember what it was like, but it kind of reminded me of, we do like a campfire bread called damper, and it's not dry, but you make it on a campfire, and it's the damper is quite salty, and the biscuits and gravy reminded me a bit more of damper than a scone, an Australian scone. But it sounds to me that your scones are exactly what we call scones as well. The biscuits are the things that are completely removed from the equation, but then your cookies are our biscuits. Do you call do you call biscuits cookies in Canada, Nada? Yeah, so jam has chunky bits and seeds. So yeah, in Australia, you can get 2 different types of jam. One has all the bits of fruit and sometimes the seeds, and the other one is more like a jelly or a jello. But all of it's called jam. The whole lot is all jam. You call them cookies. It's been interesting, just a little bit of your channel that I'm watching. There's things that I'm like, fuck. Like I went to Canada when I was on exchange in the States. I don't know why, but I thought you drove on the left-hand side of the road like all the other Commonwealth countries do. But that would be a nightmare at the border with the US, wouldn't it, if you suddenly had to start driving on the other side of the road. There's little things that I'm like, fuck, and some of the similarities. My memory of Canada, mind you, I did go to Quebec City, But my memory of Canada was that it was very different to the States. But it's interesting watching your lives, Nada, and even how close you are to the States as well. But I haven't been to like Vancouver or Toronto. The last company I worked for, the international group that we were part of, their head office was in Toronto, and I really wanted to go over again. But I was dating a French Canadian. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I know that Quebec City is very different to the rest of Canada too. But yeah, I just don't remember being Canada being so similar to the States in so many ways. I think Starbucks when I think scones. Yeah, like a blueberry. I had a blueberry scone, or was it a muffin? You guys have muffins too, don't you? In Hawaii, I had a blueberry. I think it was a scone. Do Starbucks do a blueberry scone? Or do they do blueberry muffins? Or do they do both? Anything with blueberry. Blueberry is my favourite fruit. Anything with blueberry, I will eat and eat and eat and eat. Even just punnets of blueberries on their own. Love them. I pop them on the roof of my mouth with my tongue, and they're just like these little bursts of love and happiness. Quebec is very different, yeah. But I've got a lot of Canadian friends that aren't from Quebec. And I don't know, like in the comedy scene, like with Just for Laughs and everything else, I don't know why. Just for some reason, my memory was that Canada was different to the US in a lot of ways. Like I've always felt you guys were more like the Commonwealth countries, which you are. So I naively thought that you'd drive on the same side of the road as us, which would be stupid because we crossed the border in a car. And I don't remember us all suddenly having to drive on the completely opposite side of the road, even though the driver's seats were in the wrong spots. And you've got a very distinct sense of humour, though, Canadians. I always gravitate towards Canadian comedians at comedy festivals. I've made friends with a lot of beautiful Canadian funny people. Starbucks has blueberry scone and a cranberry lemon one. Definitely Scott. Yeah, so I did have one of those. My friend who lived in Hawaii, she's now back in San Diego, but was in Hawaii at the time. She loved Starbucks. I think their coffee is really bad. But the cafe culture in Australia is pretty hardcore with like beans being ground and, baristas actually making you beautiful coffees from scratch and grinding the beans right when you're standing there and making it all properly and making it with lots of love, even doing a bit of art on the top. And it's a bit of a production. It's a bit of a performance. And I know there are cafes like that in America, like little sort of not the big chain ones, the little proper barista ones. But I found one on Maui that I went to a lot. But in Oahu, the closest thing for us was a Starbucks. And my friend Ange loved Starbucks, so that's where we went. I did end up finding a coffee in Starbucks that I didn't mind, but it wasn't like one that had any. So it might have even been a little macchiato or something. So it was pretty much just espresso shots with like the tiniest little dash of milk, and I was like, yeah, I can dig this. But these giant fucking coffees, because I'll show you before I finish up. I love Canada. They have beaver tails. Yeah, you've got a Keurig. Scones are the best. Starbucks is overpriced. Yes, well, all of that for what it is. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little tale and then I'll end. It's show and tell time, everybody. Okay, let me just set up my exhibits. So, when I was in Hawaii, while I was flying over there, I had with me one of these, which is called a keep cup. And that's the size of a standard coffee in Australia. Like if you go to a coffee shop and get a takeaway coffee, this little in your hand, that size is a standard. Now you can get a smaller version and you can also get a larger version, but this is your typical Australian sized coffee. Here is another keep cup I own, a glass one from Mona, which is the Museum of Old and New Art in Tasmania. Again, that's a typical Australian sized coffee, right? Now, I left my keep cup that looked a lot like this one on the plane flying over to Hawaii, and I was devo because I'm all for keep cups. When COVID happened, you could no longer use these in cafes here for a long time. We can again now, but I don't like the wastage, the disposable cups. So I was pretty devo. I spent the entire fucking time I was in Hawaii looking for a cup this size, a keep cup. I'm telling you, I went fucking everywhere. I went to Target. I went to all the coffee kind of cafe places, cookware shops, like general stores, those sort of in Hawaii, there's heaps of sort of, they're kind of like a greengrocer, but they've also got like it's a bit of a supermarket and a bit of a gift store. Like you can get trinkets and everywhere. I looked everywhere and could not find one fucking anywhere until we went to Duke's, the famous restaurant in Waikiki. And in Duke's, they had this, or Duke's as you would call it, they had this huge shelf with merchandise like T-shirts and stuff, and sitting right up on the very top shelf all on its own was this little fucker. Too small for you? Yeah, exactly, because it's what you're not used to, not 31 ounces. So I couldn't believe it. And the thing I love about this, this one thing I love about it, and there's one thing I can't stand about it. One is, because that's an Australian keep cup, and that's the Duke's one, it's too chubby there. It doesn't fit in the cup holder in my car, whereas this little fucker does perfectly. So when I'm driving, if I take this with me, it's always on a bit of an angle, and it doesn't have a lid that seals like these ones do. The keep cups have got the little open closey thing. So this could actually be upside down in my handbag and it won't spill. But this one's you can't lock it. But what I love about it is it's insulated. So it's actually really good for keeping things really hot for a long time or really cold. So if you take this to like when you go camping or at a music festival, if you have like a glass of wine or something, you pour it into that and it stays cold for up to 10 hours. It's awesome. Yeah, exactly. It's a wine cup, but it does also work for hot stuff. But I'm just saying this was I get that. I get it. But I'm just saying it was the closest thing in size to replacing this. So I could go into a coffee shop and have my size coffee. So no, I know it doesn't fit in the car, but that's okay. I've actually got another area in my car where it does sit, like in the console. It's fine. But no, we make these. We have these in Australia too for wine as well, but they also can have hot liquid in them. But that was the only thing I could find because everywhere I went, they were like huge. They're big motherfuckers. And what made me even think to show you this was what my friend, while I was in Hawaii, bought me as my keep cup. Now, the lid has since been put in the recycling because it broke, but that's the Starbucks Hawaii smallest size keep cup. Most of them were like this big. That was the baby one. That was the smallest one. That's like 2 coffees worth, 2 Australian coffees. So I actually used this, although the lid, only after about 8 washes, it just completely went brittle and broke. But before the lid broke, I mean, I'll use this while I'm at home, but before the lid broke, this is what I would take my smoothie in to go to work. This does fit in my cup holder. Hello, Will. But no, I understand these aren't meant to. The ones we have in Australia for wines aren't meant to either. But what I meant was I needed to find something this size to ask for a coffee in because this was the smallest. This is the coffee I'm used to drinking. And this is the smallest keep cup I could fucking find, or traveller, whatever you call them. That's all. This was the closest thing, and I love it anyway. And like I said, it's lovely at music festivals. It keeps your wine cold. But, yeah, to just get a simple takeaway coffee, that was the closest thing. Good to see you, Will. I'm about to sign off. That's your size cup, just like that. Americans have this really big size called a Trenti. I was in bed, woke up sneezing. Oh, allergies, you poor thing. 31 ounces. You could have flown yourself home with that amount of coffee. So because it was like a grande is actually the smallest size at the Starbucks, is that right? Because that used to freak me out because anything in Australia called grande is the biggest. Or that's kind of a grande, right? Whereas this would be like, this is a regular size coffee in Australia. I've actually got a keep cup. It's at the office that's like a quarter the size of this that I get my takeaway macchiato in or a piccolo latte in. It's teeny tiny. It's the cutest little thing you've ever seen. But this is the biggest coffee I get. But, yeah, this was the smallest keep cup, and it was from Starbucks, which is what inspired me. Apparently they don't do these. So what's this? 355 mils, 12 fluid ounces. Oh, Starbucks is from Seattle. Didn't know that. You learn something new every day. Made in China. But apparently these state-themed ones are not doing them anymore. I don't know. I was told this was the last run of state-specific ones. It's not worth a pinch of shit, but a bit of trivia. Sweet Sunny Meow Meow is curled up asleep on her beanbag, Uncle Will. Oh, grande is a 16 ounce. Oh, okay, so this is a 12, so it's a bigger one. Okay. I might have just been confusing with how you guys say entree for your main course, which is, entree is a French word meaning first. And Americans are like, we're going to have our third course, our biggest course in the rest of the world known as a main course. We're going to call that an entree just to fuck with all y'all. All right, so this is a tall because this is a 12 ounce. I do love it. It was better when the lid fit it because, you know, I'd take my smoothies. But if I'm at home and I make a smoothie, I always have it in my Hawaiian Starbucks traveller. When I want to drink wine on the go, but not when I'm driving, Nada, this is my cup of choice. And should I be requiring a coffee from a cafe, I take this little groover. The grande is a pound. Venti is 24 ounces. Kiwis, you like kiwi smoothies? Trenta's a 31. How many shots of coffee is in that? Although Starbucks coffee is pretty weak, so it's not very strong. Like here, if you have a triple shot coffee, it's fly a plane home stuff. But in Starbucks, I reckon you'd need 6 shots to get even close. It's not strong. The coffee's here. Like I make my coffee in that little red thing up on my shelf. This much loved stovetop espresso. Yes, it looks really daggy, but it's incredibly seasoned. And the rule of thumb with these is you don't get rid of them till you break the seal. But I make this on my stovetop So the base has got water and then there's coffee in the middle and it comes up the top and choo-choo. This is strong. This puts hairs on your chest. Like if I make this and I've got people staying, you get 2 coffees out of this because it's so strong. They have 3 and 6 ounce cups too, but probably only Aussies order them. Starbucks, if it's more coffee, not a lot of creamer. You need your coffee every day, Will? I do too. A 3 and an 8. Yeah, in Hawaii I asked for the smallest one. It might have been this size. It might have been this size. I'm trying to remember where it was. It was a little tiny shop and it wasn't very far from where my friends lived. Kalua on Oahu. There was a shopping centre near there. It also had one of those amazing oh shit, you guys will be able to tell me. It's known for being pretty expensive, but it's like a proper greengrocer. Fuck, what's it called? There's an American comedian who does jokes about it all the time. But when I was in Kansas City, Missouri, to go to like a greengrocer with fresh green veggies, not veggies in boxes, we had to drive like across town. But there's this chain of kind of gourmet greengrocers. No, it's not Trader Joe's. Whole Foods. Whole Foods. Yeah, so if you Google Whole Foods, Kalua, Oahu, that's where I was staying near there. And there's a Starbucks there, but it's only a little teeny tiny one. But at one of the really bigger shopping centres, there was a much, much bigger one. And I think they had the little baby size, not takeaway, like not keep cups, but they had the baby sizes. But I don't think the little hole-in-the-wall one down where we were had much variety. Larry the Cable Guy? Well, it's always lovely to see you, Groover. Whenever you can pop in. I'm about to sign off anyway. It's been nearly 2 hours. Whole Foods is where your groceries. Oh, I love it because I remember offering to cook dinner for my host mother and sister one night, and I wanted to do a roast, like an Aussie roast, which we roast in a pan. It's not like a pot roast in liquid. And Judy, my host mother, said she'd do the shopping, and so I did the shopping list, and I came home and she'd already put the roast in water in like a crock pot, stock potty thing. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? She's like, I put the roast on to get a head start. I was like, no, I was going to make you the roast the way we do. And then I was like, where are all the veggies? And I'm looking at the benches and I couldn't see anything. And then all these boxes started coming out of one of the cupboards. Like all the veggies were in boxes, all freezer bags. It's like, oh, okay. Where do we buy vegetables that look like they've just come out of the soil? I hope Whole Foods has made it to Kansas City, Missouri, because it was pretty grim. Once you went out in the country, though, like we'd go out to these restaurants out in the country and they were like from paddock to plate kind of restaurants, like beautiful food, that was picked that morning and there it was on you. And it was all seasonal. And this was in the mid-'80s. And growing up on an island, we eat very seasonally, like we have to. Well, we can import anything now, but back in the day, to be self-sufficient, So our diet's a very seasonal diet. So I loved that, that we'd go out to these beautiful restaurants out in the country in Missouri and have these sort of paddock to plate meals, but actually in the city to find somewhere where you could just see buckets and tubs of fresh veggies and fruit. It was an across the city adventure. I do know who Larry the Cable Guy is. Got to have your coffee cocaine strong. Yeah. You can take the buggy up. Cute, Will. They have it in Tennessee. Not sure about Missouri. I mean, Missouri's come a long way. Well, Kansas City's come a long way. from the mid-'80s. But yeah, I was horrified. And then there were things like I wanted to do roast potatoes, and she just bought like ready-to-make mashed potato in a box. And so we basically ended up having Judy's own pot roast recipe, and I didn't get to cook my Australian roast, which is all done in a big pan with all the veggies around it. Shove butter and herbs under the, like if you're doing a chicken, under the skin, some lemons up its clacker, put it in a tray, shove it in the oven, away we go, take everything out at the end, carve up the meat, put the pan up on the stove top, add a bit of flour and a bit of boiling water, make a gravy, add some stock if it's not very flavoursome. That's how we do a roast. In fact, I had that for dinner last night because I made one the other day. I did Jamie Oliver's, which is weird. He puts milk in the tray, but it was amazing. And lots of sage, and the sauce, oh my God, the sauce is so all sagey and garlicky. Oh my God, it's beautiful. They have it in St. Louis and Kentucky. In Kansas City. Wicked. You have the same blue Yeti coffee cup. And Town and Country, Missouri. What a nice city name. Yeah, Town and Country, yeah. That's how your grandmother made a roast. Yes, yes. That's how we do it. We don't put beautiful chunks of meat into water, like drown it. I mean, I know that's the whole point of a pot roast, but that's not how we roast chickens and beef and lamb. That stuff goes in a shallow roasting dish. So good. That's actually what I'm having for dinner. And I've still got some of the sauce. Oh, my God. So, yeah, if you're looking for a really lovely roast chicken recipe, Google Jamie Oliver's roast chicken with milk. Because I was like, with milk? What the fuck? But he put the chicken in a pan and you put all the veggies around it. Oh, no, I did my veggies separately. No, it's just the chicken, sage, garlic, salt and pepper. You brown it all first. Then you add the garlic cloves in their skin, still 10 of them, heaps of sage. You've already put salt and pepper on the chicken while you've browned it in oil. And then you add 2 1/4 cups of milk, or as you guys say, 2 1/4. And you cook it in the oven covered for 40 minutes and then take the lid off and cook it for 50 minutes. It was fucking amazing. It was moist. It was so moist. And then the sauce, I actually strained the sauce, but there were people that were saying it was perfectly fine without straining it because the milk kind of makes little lumpy things that are almost like bocconcini cheese. I wasn't really in the mood for bocconcini cheese gravy, so I sieved it. It was superb. The flavour was, it was garlic and sage. Oh, my God, it was to die for. But, yeah, Google Jamie Oliver's roast chicken in milk and try it. Like, it'll blow your tits off.
Here's a summary from the website ttykittykitchen.com. How to cook chicken in milk. 1. Brown a whole chicken in copious amounts of olive oil.
Hey, Google, stop. She was just reciting Jamie Oliver's chicken and milk recipe. When I said it'll flip your tits, I thought she was going to take me to like some porn audio book. Good night, Nada. Thanks for hanging out, Groover. Boxed potatoes are a sin, I know. It requires converting. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Just punch it in and find a blog that's not. What are your measurements? Imperial. Just type in his recipe with Imperial or put USA version or something, and it'll convert it for you. Yeah, for the shitty kitty kitchen. Well, I like to wear a headband. I actually like to pull my hair off my face, but for some reason today I felt like wearing it down, but with a headband, and I couldn't find them. I don't know where I've put them, so this was it. You've got a new Alexa. It watches you and swivels to follow you around. Oh, my God, Morgan, no. The only person that eats boxed potatoes are people who drink decaffeinated coffee. I hear you. Ooh, a swiveling no, that's creepy. I've just got the little Google mini Nest. I'm not graduating. And I got that for free because I've been a customer of Telstra, which is like a telco provider for so long. I got sent a freebie. It's worth about $70, but I'm not I'm not upgrading it or anything. I'm going to eat one more of these and then I'm going to log off, boo-boo. Got 10 more minutes and then I'll hit the 2-hour mark. I've just gone over to my YouTube channel. He accidentally got decaf. Oh, you've got the new Alexa show as well. Yeah, freaky, man. These are finished cooking and cooled down. They're really crunchy on the outside and they're really like that beautiful, moist, but it's not like a dense, chewy, like heartburn dense. It's just, they're cookies with substance. I'm giving them 500 out of 10. Oh my God, they're so good. Yeah, decaf. Mind you, if you're wide awake at 2 a.m. and you love the flavour of coffee and you need a coffee or you want a coffee, decaf probably has a purpose. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not familiar with the decaf. Will loves wafer cookies. He controls all my lights, so I can be even lazier than before. Great. My little fucker can do that. I just haven't set it up. Yeah, I love caffeine too, Will. My mini Nest and my thermostat for my heating are in sync, but they're literally 6 meters apart, so I just turn it on the wall. But yeah, I could have the doors locking and lights and everything all connected up, but I didn't want it. It's enabled to do it, but I think there's something quite cathartic about turning off a light switch. I had to go to decaf, doctor's orders. Yeah, see, there is I'm sure these days there'd be decafs that taste pretty close to a caffeinated coffee. Like, I remember having decaf when I was a kid because Mum had some in the kitchen. She probably did the same thing and accidentally bought some. And it was very distinctively different to coffee. But in 2021, I reckon decafs would taste pretty similar. Just like that can confirm or deny. 500 out of 10. Make them groovers. Yotam Ottolenghi, his name's in my description. And if you're so inspired that you actually want to get his books, I thoroughly recommend them. They're beautiful to read, amazing photos. He's travelled the world. Oh, and it's week 2 of Australian MasterChef, and it's the Superstars week. It's chefs from all over the world. So tonight's Nigella Lawson, and Yotam is one of the chefs this week. And my friend Scotty, who's in MasterChef, I'm like, oh my God, you get to cook for Yotam Ottolenghi. And he's like, He can't tell me much about what happens. Obviously, they've all signed disclaimers that they won't reveal anything, but he's allowed to say he was blown away by cooking for Yotam. I can hear Sonny snoring. She's like her sister Biscuit. They both are little snorty snorers. That's a sign of a content animal snoring its head off. Tim Hortons was the best for decaf. The old coffee dispenser machines. Do you mean the ones they were called cafe bars? And you had like when I first started working in offices, they had all these little places like where you'd put the cup and you could get like the four thing cafe bar, or you could get like a 6 thing, and you'd flick a little handle, like literally go like that, and it would represent 1 teaspoon, and there'd be like normal coffee, decaf, powdered milk, hot chocolate, fuck knows what else, and you'd be there with your little cup and you'd be like, oh, and water, hot water. And then you could put a bit of cocoa on top if you wanted to do a cappuccino. Does anyone remember them? I miss Sweet Biscuit too. She is always with us. Decaf tea. Yeah, I just turn to herbal teas at night. I've got a type of tea called night tea, which I think is really cute. It's like a play on nighty. And it's a really gorgeous herbal blend, and it sends me off to sleep. Oh, she was snored so loud all day. We know that Chili was very loved, Morgan. I don't know if you can hear Sunny. I don't think my mic's that good. So, now there'll be a video about me farting in the kitchen, and it'll be my cat snoring. And do you know if that happened? Do you know what I would do? I'd laugh my ass off. I wouldn't go live for 3 hours being all grumpy about it. Hint, hint. That to me, God, we've seen some ridiculous shit on YouTube, but getting butthurt over a video about a fart, like that's a first. I was like, whoa there, you angry. You angry. It was funny as fuck. The whole debacle about that 1 minute 34 second video of a fart. Makeup Mobster was not happy. Oh my God, she was so angry. She even read out one of my comments under it. She's like, "Some traces of nuts, let it rip, oh, you fucking dumb idiot," or something. I didn't say fucking dumb idiot. That's a very Aussie thing, but she wasn't impressed. It's like, if you'd sung that, like Let It Go, if you'd sung let it rip, you'd be like, that's genius. That's comedic gold. But no. She read it out. She was not impressed. She pointed out I was one of many idiots commenting under NewsTuber's video about the mysterious noise that may or may not have been a fart. Oh, could you hear her? Cute. Oh, you can't hear her. Yeah, Paul Hogan did brilliant stand-up. All right, Groovers, I'm logging off. Thanks for hanging out with me, the magical noise. Really good to see all of you here. Please have a crack at the cookies. They're amazing. For those of you in Australia and New Zealand on this Anzac Day, lest we forget. For the rest of you, we're kind of having our equivalent of Veterans Day right now. So if you're in America, but any country that's watching from anywhere outside America or Australia, New Zealand, the day that you honour your veterans, your war veterans, that's what we're having here and in New Zealand today. So that's where the word Anzac comes from. It's Australia and New Zealand. And yeah, we made a bit of a twist on an Anzac Day biscuit today. So however you spend the rest of your weekend, may it be merry and bright, and may all your milkshakes be white. That's why we're called the Shitty Kitty Kitchen. Until next time. Bye, everyone. Stay groovy.